What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action, spawning in the top side of the map in the blue color, playing as Odin. His name is the Rapl. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Set. His name is Ulysses. Ulysses the Great, Ulysses the Wise. His name is Ulysses. The map is Alfheim. And yeah, Set versus Odin. Was it Odin? Did I say that right? Yeah, Set versus Odin matchup for you here on this fine auspicious of whatever day you are currently experiencing. That's what it is. Yes. And we're actually seeing Rapl do something kind of cute here. Look at this. Ox cart first. And then move over onto his secondary hunt. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Hannah Rain, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, so he's making his way over onto his deer. I love the starts where you do this. I think this is fantastic. One thing you can actually do as you build these villages is you can actually chuck them onto wood, have them gather the 10 wood they need to like as if they were to do anything, and then you can send them over onto hunt later and dump the wood into this ox cart, jumping onto the deer, saving you whatever amount of walking time you would normally have to get onto this tree. Little things like that might not seem like they give you a big boost, but every little thing at this stage of the game matters, in my opinion. So, you know, think about it and give it a try. I mean, if you mess up, it's not like you weren't already going to just put villagers onto this anyways. Another thing that Rapl can do here, which is actually really, really interesting, is not build a second ox cart at all. I love Norse build orders because very few people have really looked into all the different options because you've got a movable ox cart. There's so much cool stuff you can do. So one thing that Rapl could do here is not build a third ox cart. When he's advancing to the classical age, he can chuck all his villagers from this hunt onto wood, get all the wood he needs to build whatever he wants to build, town center, longhouse, whatever, and then he could build the ox cart after and chuck villagers onto wood, leaving all the villagers on food here, and be completely fine as well. So many really, really interesting ways to play with the Norse economy to get yourself that little bit of an advantage where other civilizations can't get that advantage. It's one of the really cool things, I think, about Norse. So we'll see if that's what Rappl's going to do. Now, we talk about a little bit about what Odin can do. Set is equally unique. And you know this if you watch me play Set, because I'm a big fan of doing this. You effectively trade favor for hunt, which is very backwards. Normally you're trading resources for favor. So with Greek, you're trading villager working time for favor. So every time you get, if you have one villager on favor, every one favor you get is worth about 10 resources. So Set goes in the opposite way. Yes, you have to build the monuments. So yes, you're already paying for that favor up front, but it's going to continue to come in essentially for free after you've built it. And then you just trade that for hunt, and then you can sit in your base and you don't have to worry about things like raiding on your second hunt. Now, Ulysses here has already moved out to the forward location here, so he's going to have full access to this. He might even decide to grab this forward town center and eat the rest of this hunt relatively safe in the classical age, but he's going for a late advance time here. No temple just yet. Kind of looks like a little bit of a Joe build in a way, and I say a Joe build in a nice way. Like, what I mean by that is Joe would do these weird builds where he goes up a little bit late, gets 2 monuments, and goes to Nubites. And this is kind of what Joe is known for, even though it's probably arguably better to advance a little bit faster, delay that second monument if you have to, and chuck it up while you're advancing to the second age or something like this. Would be a little bit more efficient, but this is kind of Joe inspired in a way. So we'll see if it's going to work for Ulysses. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of a classical fight in this game, because Ulysses has spotted these aurochs here. Spotting the aurochs means that your opponent's going to have exposed aurochs. Not only that, he spots the hunt. He sees Rapples over here. He knows he's probably not going to be able to harass that, but he does see these elk here, so he knows that that's potential for harass as well. And he's going to be finding these aurochs as well. So a classical fight to prevent Rapl from getting this hunt might be incredibly strong, and Rapl might have to think about what he wants to do to get access to that. Now, he is going through Freya. Freya is, against Set, is arguably you have to go Freya against Set. Going Heimdall here is very risky, because if your opponent goes Anubites, you no longer have access to the access to the Valkyrie to deal with the Anubites, then things can be a little bit tough there. So Rapl has to go Freya in this matchup 99% of the time. Sometimes you can predict the Ptar and go for a weird Heimdall-inspired strategy. Heimdall semi-fast heroics, for example. Pretty good. And now we move in here. The Valkyrie going to start harassing these villages, and Ulysses is going to be a little bit sad about his advance time, but he's going to be advancing relatively soon here. He should probably kill this hyena if he wants to keep that one alive. We do see the ferret here going to be attacking the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie too speedy, and we'll get out of there. What relic has he picked up? We do have the Ship of Fingernails here, effectively worth about half a villager on food. And we've got the Odin's Wand here as well. That's going to make your upgrades much cheaper. And Ptar was the god of choice here for Ulysses as well. Big vision on this position here. Does he have the priest out? Yes, he does. Deciding to go for this shifting sands here. Oh, the units are wandering over here though. Ulysses might decide not to do this, and he does decide not to go for this attack. Not enough army here for Ulysses. He noticed that this was a weak spot, but decides in the last minute to say, you know what? No, let's not go for that attack. And Rapl shows the town center. Is this a fake? Is this a fake? It's not a fake. If I was Ulysses there, I would have shifting sands these Hersa into a box that he hasn't built yet. But you want to have that box up as well, or some version of it. I think there's probably an argument for always building your first couple of houses in a box shape. So you can build a next year temple, you can build the house, wall, house kind of vibe, and then you can shift into that box. And then you can most of the time take out all these Hersa and have a very, very strong game. But Ulysses didn't do that. Both players going to be grabbing a 2 town center here in this stage. This actually, in my opinion, heavily favors the set player. Sorry, heavily favors the Odin player, the Norse player in this situation. But in this map here, given the positioning of the Aurochs, it sounds to me, or seems to me, as though Ulysses is actually getting the better end of the map here. He's having both access to both the Aurochs. Rapl here doesn't see any other Aurochs, so he has to play incredibly safe. Not safe. He has to play very slow in a way, because he doesn't have access to the hunt bonus. Normally you get the hunt bonus, and that hyper accelerates all your timings. So the ball here is heavily in Rappl's court to figure out, well, how do I do this? He has to play defensively, and he has to kind of defend a very brutal 2 town center timing that Ulysses is going to try. Ulysses still has access to shifting sands, still has access to everything he needs, but we are seeing that Rapl smartly so moving in with his infantry units here. This here could be the shifting sands to kill off all these units, and he does indeed do that. However, no box. A very poor decision to chuck them there when he could have chucked them right back here in between 2 towers in the town center with the... I'm a bit surprised to see that location there picked, and we do see a forest fire here taking down the Auroch as well. Ulysses a little bit slow there. That hurts a lot, because that was 300 food there down the drain. 300 potential hunt there down the drain. A couple of units getting picked off here as the priest comes in. Priest has a track rating of 6, so it can hit those 5.5 speed myth units. The Pharaoh does not, though. And Ulysses is now banked up a ton of gold. Not exactly sure what that's for. The armory coming down here as well for Ulysses. He might be thinking about a 3rd town center here or something like that. What Rapl can do here, which I think would be incredibly good, is actually not build any military units. He's going for one longhouse raiding cavalry, which is kind of along the same thinking, but he doesn't really need to make military units. He sees the armory. He sees no barracks being built. He sees the armory here. He sees no barracks being built anywhere. So we can make the safe assumption that the set player is probably going for a sort of fast heroic here. If he goes through Skadi, then the Ancestors loses all value, and he can go straight into those stronger hill fort units with the Huskar, and also he's going to need raiding cavalry, definitely upgraded raiding cavalry as well, as he is now finally seeing the first barracks go up, but he's going to be able to get those stronger raiding cavalry to deal with axemen and go sort of raiding cavalry Huskar in a way, which is really, really strong against the classical mixed Migdol army of Set. Set wants to go either spearmen chariots, axemen chariots, spearmen axemen chariots, kind of anything of that sort most of the time, and we are indeed seeing that's exactly what Rapl is trying to do, but his armory is not built yet. As it's coming up very shortly. Nice build here from Rapl. Love it. Ulysses, on the other hand, throwing up another barracks. Still fairly far away from Well, not that far away from the heroic age. I'd say a little bit far away from the heroic age here. Does he have his upgrades? He's got himself husbandry. He's got himself pickaxe. Next upgrade he's going to want is going to be shaft mine. Nice little raid coming in here for Ulysses. For Rapl. Ulysses here playing a little bit too... not playing safely enough. I think normally we would see a wall here by a lot of Egyptian players, but I think Ulysses is not so used to the Egyptian civilization. He's normally playing more Greeks or more Atlanteans. He's definitely capable here, so we'll see what he's going to be able to do. Nephthys has got a choice. No surprises there. Rapl going through... Oh! Rapl going through Njord. That is a big surprise. And he's banking up a lot of resources here. Not getting any upgrades. He could be going for a fast tier Njord timing. This is something we haven't seen ever before. He's also taking down all of these deer as well. This is smart, preventing them from getting converted. But it's either going to be a fast mythic here, or it's going to be a very, very strong Njord timing. He's chucking down his hill fort. No market up just yet. No upgrades. Making some Ulfsark. Getting himself a second mountain giant. So he's going to spend all his resources here in the heroic age for a big timing on this town center. Ulysses has to think about what can he do to defend this. He's going to have access to Nephthys. He's going to have access to hill fort, Migdol stronghold units. This timing is going to be absolutely brutal. And not only this, Ulysses has gone for a third town center here. So he is disrespecting Njord to the extreme at this point. At this point, I feel like any sort of timing from Rapl here is going to work. Ulysses' decision-making here is very, very... throw caution to the wind, as the saying goes. He is throwing caution to the wind. And not only this, Rapl is going Mythic Age. He's going to go through tier here. This is going to be absolutely brutal. And he's going to hit, in 1 minute, 30 seconds, he's going to hit Fimbulwinter, Walking Woods, and Ancestors not going to be able to get cast. And this is going to be, this damage is going to be absolutely crazy. Ulysses has got a lot of resources in the bank himself, and he's actually thrown up his market as well. So he might be considering the ultimate greed, going straight to the Mythic Age here. But I don't think that's going to be a great idea. He could get access to Thoth and get some Phoenix in here to be a difficult unit to counter for the Odin. But we'll see how it's going to go. Rapl now making himself Jarl as well. Another hill fort coming up over here. These villages might have to get pulled off. There are already 3 Herso here, and we do see Walking Woods get cast. Walking Woods and Ancestors both don't get a bonus damage against myth units, as the hill fort does come up, and effectively I think the Walking Woods are slightly stronger than those minions. 140 HP versus 280 HP, 7 damage versus 8.5 damage. So the Walking Woods are actually a really, really nice counter, direct counter, but normally there's a bunch of priests remaining. As we see, are we seeing any siege come through? I mean, we do have the mountain giants, so those are siege, and we do have the walking pines, so those are siege as well. And Rapl's resources very, very low right now. Ulysses, on the other hand, still not advancing, starting to build chariot archers, villagers moving on to multiple separate mining camps here, which I absolutely love. Means that whenever Rapl gets a raid, he's not gonna take too much damage from that. We see a siege works coming up. Only at 130 population. Both players at this point are at 130 population, and Rapl is about to hit the go button, and he's moving in. Mountain giants amassed. Fimbulwinter gonna cast. How lucky can you get? And he gets relatively lucky, though. The wolves are spawning on the wrong side of the forest there. They are gonna move around, start picking off these units. The mountain giants immediately just gonna be moving through onto the Migdol stronghold here. The chariot archers in the back getting relatively well counted by those Huskarl that are moving in to tank the damage that they are dealing with. The 50% PS armor. Do we have any armory upgrades at this point? No armory upgrades for Rapl. No armory upgrades for Ulysses. The Roar Elephant does get built, but that's going to get picked off very, very fast. We see a watchtower coming up for Ulysses. That's not going to be enough, and Ulysses is 100% now going to have to pull back. He's going to lose this entire location. And not only that, he loses a bunch of economy. Ulysses is going to be hurting a lot. He could go for this town center here. We do have a Scorpion Man coming over here. A Migdol stronghold trying to get thrown up on this position, but Rapl's Skraeling is being very, very pesky here, preventing that Migdol from going up. I don't think he knew that it was there. Just a little bit of luck in a way. But Rapl takes down that town center and is in an incredibly strong position now. Many villages, lots of villages here. His economy is decent enough considering he's gone for basically basically a fast mythic in a way, fast mythic timing. Has lost basically no units here. He's taking down a full army of Ulysses. Going to get his 3rd town center, going to get his 4th town center over here, making Fenris wolf broods behind this as well. I absolutely love this. If we can get out 5 or 6 Fenris wolves here, it's going to be a very, very difficult unit to deal with. Villagers getting picked off on this position here as the Migdol stronghold is trying to get thrown up. This town center is probably not going to be able to get built by Rapl, but just having it there is going to be a nice little thing for Rapl to prevent Ulysses from sneaking it with a bunch of villagers and a pharaoh. The army here from Rapl slowly making its way over onto the top side of the map. Ulysses still not up to full population, making some barracks here. He gets up another Migdol stronghold on this position. The army of Rapl going to slowly make its way in here. We've got a whole bunch of villagers that are trying to fight on this position. Rapl has now finished his 3rd town center, has a stray mountain giant over here he's going to want to be using, but it's currently idle. And the Mountain Giant going to tear down this Migdol stronghold incredibly fast with the help of the Walking Pines here as well. The priests, basically, they do a decent amount of damage, but there is 1,200 HP worth of manly man meat here that he has to get through. This Mountain Giant is an absolute tank of a unit, as the Migdol stronghold's not going to quite go down, but there's going to be follow-up here for Rapl. He's got so many resources in the bank, but he does need to get those farms cranking out here with only 13 villagers on food. He's going to have a difficult time pushing through those axemen, you would think, here as Ulysses has rightly decided, look, I know that my opponent spent all of that food. I know he's going to have a little bit difficult time making those cavalry units, so just make a whole bunch of axemen to deal with everything that can possibly come out for Rapl. What Rapl can do now is get himself up to irrigation, which he does not even have plow, but get himself up to irrigation and get himself flood control. Oh, he doesn't have flood control, but get himself up to, sorry, he can get himself up to flood control. He doesn't have access to winter harvest because he doesn't have the standard Skadi here, but still flood control farms, very, very strong for every single civilization. Definitely something you want to be investing in. And Rapl's food economy is going to be completely fine here. As we do see another attempt at pushing through this location, the army of Ulysses is crumbling to the Jarls. The Huskarls, the throwing axemen here as well, are doing a remarkably decent job considering not many infantry currently remaining. The 2 Scorpion men here, very, very low HP. Ulysses might try and heal these up. They're 4 HP and 12 HP, though one does get taken down there as Ulysses is going to be pulling said Scorpion man back, maybe going to find a priest or something to heal him up and get some sort of advantage in the resources there. 3rd town center coming up for Ulysses now, and the Fenris wolf raids have started for Rapl. How many does he have? 6 Fenris wolves on the map. Incredibly difficult for Egyptian players to deal with this because they don't have any melee units. So if you're Zeus, you make a Bellerophon. Bellerophon can kind of counter this. If you're Hades, you make Perseus. If you're Poseidon, you make Atlanta. If you're Norse, you make Jarls. All of this, or Frost Giants even. But Egyptian can make mummies, I guess, but it's set. So he doesn't really have an answer to speedy myth units like the Fenris wolf broods when there's a pack of this many. And we do see a handful of priests here. These priests aren't going to do all too much, though there are too many for Rapl to deal with there. So he's just going to go somewhere else. He doesn't need to deal with this. Not only that, Rapl could notice that those priests are out of position here, and he could move those Fenris wolves in onto this position and get a very, very strong push. Now we've got even heavy Huskarls through for Rapl as the Fenris wolves going to come in and basically 2-hit villages here, it would seem. And these farms on this town center are not safe. Ulysses not paying attention, nearly loses every single one of those villages. Even more villages getting absolutely massacred here as the score difference is gigantic, with Rapl nearly 2 times in front of I guess that's maybe not quite 2 times, but over 1,000 score in front because of these Fenris wolves. Villagers getting absolutely slaughtered here. Ulysses not able to get the food income that he needs. Not only that, the Migdol stronghold getting absolutely destroyed here. This position is not able to be held. The villagers falling on their back, and the gold income here even also has been absolutely neutered because now Ulysses has to reorganize his economy. Villagers in the main base getting destroyed. And in that moment, Ulysses taps out. Rapl gets the dub here with that incredibly strong semi-fast heroic off of 2 town center strategy. I'll maybe even consider it a fast heroic off of 2 town centers with Odin here, because he didn't have that many military units at all, just 1 longhouse. So a very, very strong showing from Rapl. Ulysses very much disrespected the Njord here by going for this 3rd town center. You see that Njord, you got to be like, okay, well, what can I do? I got to think about how I can defend this. My town center is exposed. I don't have many units out. You can't go for this town center. You have to throw down a bunch of buildings and make sure you defend. That 400 gold that was in the town center there probably could have been priests, probably could have been funeral rites, probably could have held just a little bit, wasting that ancestors as well on this position with nothing to help it. Very, very poor use of ancestors from Ulysses. He's going to have to think about better ways in which he can use his heroic age god power there. But Rapl showing why Norse is a very scary civilization when left to its own devices. They're absolutely steamrolling Ulysses set in this game. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next game.